I just saw Fantastic Four and I can confidently say that it was pretty fantastic.
Say that again?
It's fantastic.
Yes, it is. Guys, I got it. Ready? Yeah.
Alright, look. When Fantastic Four got announced, I was pretty excited. Especially when the trailer came out, and oh my god, did the trailer scream style and fantastic. I'm gonna say the word fantastic a lot in this video, and well, you can't stop me. Alright, well, let's get back on track. We never actually had a fantastic movie that was based on the Marvel's Fantastic Four. Agree or disagree, but the 2005 and 2007 Fantastic Four was a fun movie, but as a movie and a Fantastic Four movie, it does not hold up. And don't even get me started with the 2015 Fantastic Four. Sorry, I mean Fan4stick. But all in all, we never actually had a good representation of Fantastic Four. That's a good superhero movie and a good movie overall. Until now. Before going into this movie, I heard a lot of bad reviews about this movie, so going into the theaters, I was pretty scared. But going out of the movie, I can confidently say that it's pretty good. Like I like to do in my videos, I like to look at the bad things or the good things first, so I'm going to talk about the bad stuff. Now, I only have a few negative opinions on this movie. As much as I like the movie, this movie is not perfect. An example of the imperfection of this film is the character Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. Now, I'm not saying I hate this character or that this character ruins the movie. It's just that during the movie and coming out of the theater, I just wish that we saw a little more of him and got a little deeper into the sadness of his physical appearance. Now, I get that this Fantastic Four is a team of heroes that has been working for a while and is known to the public. But watching the trailer, I thought we were going to get a side story about Ben not really enjoying his appearance and how his transformation from the radiation affected his life. If not that, at least make his best friend feel guilt for making his best friend turn into something unrecognizable from the original Ben. We only got one scene of that from the movie, and I thought we would get more based on the trailer. Especially when Susan says,
Ben has always been a rock.
I thought that Reed has regretted and took the blame for changing the people he loves. Which makes me move on to the next complaint. You know the trailer that I loved? What made me more invested was the scenes and dialogue that they showed us, and I just could not wait to see them in this movie. So when I watched, I actually tried to piece out the scenes that I like and figure out when will it show up, and was confused when the last act came up. We never got to see or hear the scenes or dialogue that I liked. What happened? Maybe the director or Kevin Feige just didn't think it worked and didn't want to risk it, as this is the first family to Marvel. But I swear to God, these scenes and dialogue they showed in the trailer would have not just made this movie a little better, but actually add on to the family aspect of this film. But I guess it's fine. I still like the movie without it, so. Second to last complaint I have is the third act. Don't get me wrong, I thought it was good and a good solution to defeat the big bad of this movie, that is Galactus. I just feel like it didn't make me clench my body. Before the third act of the movie, it did a pretty good job on making me actually feel scared for these characters and this world. But in the third act, I think they defeat Galactus a little bit too fast and a little bit too easy. Yeah, their way of defeating Galactus didn't go as smoothly, and they had to improvise along the way, but I wanted to feel that Reed and Susan's son could have been taken from them. Alright, my last complaint is going to be really quick. It's just that they could have made the theme more dramatic throughout the film, which is family. Take Thunderbolts for example. Thunderbolts was about depression, and throughout the film, we see that a lot. I just think that they could have made this movie more dramatic. This movie felt a little bit safe, even though this is Marvel's first family. Alright, that's enough of the bad stuff. I want to get into the good stuff, or should I say, the fantastic stuff. Alright, before I dive into the characters, I'll get into the small aspect I liked in this movie, and I'll make it fast. First, the CGI and visual effects in this movie looks great. Actually, it looks like they took time to make the CGI that MCU movie usually has look good. Some visual effects could use a little work, like some of Johnny Storm's flame on form. Also, side note, I just noticed that Johnny never says flame on in this movie. Anyways, the movie itself is shot really well and just looks like a normal movie with an additional 4 superheroes in it. It's very clear that they know what style they're going for, and it's very consistent. This and Thunderbolts makes me have hope that the future MCU will look better as a film. The plot and formula of this movie is very good and actually ignores the normal formula of a typical MCU movie, which I like. I'm glad that superhero movies are doing their own thing and ignoring the formula that we know has worked for years. It makes us have less fatigue for superhero movies because we don't know what to expect. Also, I like the scenes of them being heroes in the beginning, defeating their enemies and recreating their first cover. I thought that was cool and a nice touch, and a nice way to catch up the audience, and a nice way to set the tone as we see how citizens depend on them and how they won every fight until Galactus. I like their outer space adventure. They go on a science fiction trip on the second act and they face against Galactus, which when they did, the movie did a great job making everyone feel scared and worried that they might die. Everyone had an urge of emergency, and it feels like the team are defeated after trying to defeat Galactus and negotiate with him. They were very confident at first, and very quickly they changed. Alright, let's talk about the characters. I'm actually going to go through the main 4 cast individually because I cannot compliment these Fantastic Four members together without making it messy and all over the place. So, let's start with Ben. Since one of my complaints was about him, despite the storyline I wanted not being there, I still enjoyed his character. Whoever wrote these characters and their personality in this movie with the additional attention to their chemistry and dynamic to each other did a fantastic job. Ben and Johnny's dynamic in this movie was written really well, but more on that later. Ben's relationship with Sue and Reed is also written really well. Overall, we can just tell, for being the only member that isn't related to any of them, he feels like an uncle or a brother at times. His chemistry with the other characters feels very normal and natural. Small thing here, but there's a cute scene of him interacting with the kids outside of their school. That was pretty cool and pretty nice and refreshing, seeing superheroes actually interact with people who look up to them. Alright, let's go on to Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic. I've seen people criticize Reed in this movie, but I actually like him. He doesn't stand out as much as the last 2 member I'm going to talk about, but I like how he's always focusing on solving every problem and finding a solution. And in this film, he's genuinely scared because he finally found a problem that he can't solve easily. And it takes him a while until he actually solves a problem with an interesting way to defeat Galactus. We are constantly seeing him being a smartass and using his brains to get his team to the next step in order to solve the big problem. But being this person who thinks of every solution and every possibility, it also makes his character flawed. And actually has a scene with Sue, his wife, about how being like this actually hurts her sometimes, because sometimes he can't just relax and be there in the moment, which leads me to Sue, aka Invisible Woman. You can tell Sue is a primary focus in the Fantastic Four movie, and I actually like it. One big problem with the other iteration of Fantastic Four is that Sue is only seen as a girl character or the love interest, and actually gets sexualized in the 2005 to 2007 Fantastic Four films. In this movie, she actually feels like a person, and more importantly, she's a friend to Ben, a sister to Johnny, and a wife to Reed, and a mom to Franklin, Sue and Reed's son. She gets a lot of scenes that add depth into her characters and makes us understand and look up to this character. You understand her thought process, her decision, her solutions to problem. Overall, her character is just written really well. Alright, now I'm gonna move on to my personal favorite character in this film, and that's Johnny Storm, baby. Look, when the cast got announced, I was stoked for Joseph Quinn to play Johnny Storm. He was a standout in Stranger Things Season 4, and I could see why they would want him to play Johnny. And I know what you're saying. Oh, you're such a Stranger Things fanboy, and you only like him because of Stranger Things. He'll never replace Chris Evans. And even though I did like him in Stranger Things, I also respect his acting abilities. Before Stranger Things, he was in other projects, but people didn't really care. no one really knew him. He wasn't a known actor at this time. And I think he's really underrated as an actor. And I was genuinely really proud and excited that he has another project and role that happened to be Johnny Storm in Fantastic Four. After Stranger Things 4, he said in an interview that he's enjoying this praise and these fans because he doesn't really know if he'll get another big role. And he wants to savor it before it goes away and just appreciates everyone who's supporting him. And that's just so amazing to hear from an actor from me. So yes, I was very happy for him when he got the role. And as for if he can ever replace Chris Evans, I say yes. Yes, he definitely can. Look, I'm no believer in if I like someone in the role, I can't see anyone else as the same role. With superheroes, I'm not dumb. I know at one point these characters are gonna get recasted, and I have my favorite, but I would never be against a casting choice unless they just simply don't fit the part. Take Robert Pattinson as the Batman. Everyone was complaining about the casting of Batman, saying he can't replace Christian Bale's Batman, and when everyone saw the movie, they took their words back, and he is by far my favorite take on Batman. You could look at Superman too. Everyone complained about how David Cornsweet could never replace Henry Cavill as Superman. And now after watching it, I can confidently say that David's Superman is my preferred Superman over Henry. So when I say Joseph Quinn is a good Johnny Storm, he is a good Johnny Storm. And I don't care what you guys say because the writing for Johnny's personality and dynamic, along with Joseph Quinn's acting in this film, it works. And it is exactly how I wanted Johnny to be, and even exceeded past my expectations. In this movie, Johnny is fun, annoying, smart, horny, and actually a good superhero and a good family member. Johnny is constantly annoying and teasing Ben, which is fun to watch and adds the comedy in this film, but it only happens subtly, where the film isn't a forced sitcom like most of the MCU movie nowadays. He has his running bets for having the hots for Silver Surfer in this universe, and it's funny. He's also smart and believable to be an astronaut, as the other movie he's just there because he's Sue's brother or because he's a troublemaker, but in this movie he's actually solving problems and serve well to the Silver Surfer plot. He also has a chase with Silver Surfer so she doesn't get Franklin, and though it's not the chaotic chase that we loved in the 2000 Fantastic Four film, the way that he did it was very interesting. He takes advantage of her language and the humane side of her, and we saw the seriousness of Johnny's character and how much he cares about his family and this world. Yelling at Silver Surfer and tries to sacrifice himself, now that was fantastic. And the best thing is he's constantly trying to be a hero and actually tries to sacrifice himself for the world and his family's benefit. This part in the end that actually made me worried he was gonna try to defeat Galactus alone. And hats off to Joseph Quinn for doing a good performance, making Johnny charming and heroic at the same time. Alright, my last thought is just how well all the character works together in this movie. The chemistry feels real and it feels like a real family. And that's what this movie is about. It's all about how important family is. So overall, I can no longer feel comfortable saying that there is no good Fantastic Four movie, because finally, we have a great Fantastic Four movie. Hey guys, I just want to thank you guys for watching, and as always, I just want to say that these are just my opinions. Feel free to have your own opinion, and I'm just making these videos so I can rant about what I think about these characters or movies or TV shows or whatever I'm doing. And yeah, so I hope you guys liked the video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one, and bye bye.